Hey, it's me again. You know that crazy guy with today with one of our sponsors. We have the law offices of William R. Van Order, guys, and he holds the order for you when you're in an emergency. I do notice we have a lot of issues out here in our town, especially reckless drivers. I know you being a personal injury attorney, you probably handle a lot of cases with that. And I know a lot of people, when they're involved in an accident or dog bite situations or, any other injuries, workman comps, they don't know what to do.
Well,
Uh,
calling our office would be a good start.
Call you first,
So
right?
we've been handling injury cases for the Hemet Valley since 1987. I founded this law firm, and it's for the most part, injury cases is all we do. In this town, it happens to be a lot of auto accident
Oh
cases.
man, I'm out in the news. I see it all the time.
People just either disregard the rules of the road, or they're just not paying attention and they're texting while they're driving. Who knows? But there's a lot of accidents in this town, and it's important that you get representation because there's a lot of issues that people don't understand that are tricky.
Right. Now, I've noticed a lot of people I've talked to, when they have an accident, they like basically they do the number one worst thing ever. They settle with the other person's insurance.
Well, you have to understand that the insurance companies have a lot of money and they have a lot of resources, and they train their adjusters to get those cases settled at the lowest possible amount.
Exactly.
And if you fight with them, they've got an army of lawyers to defend their money. So, it's always possible to get, something fair from the insurance company on your own, but it's highly improbable because, the name of the game is they want to settle for as low as possible.
And you need as much as possible
You
because your
do.
life can change just like that.
And a lot of people settle early for what they think is a good amount. And then a year goes by and they're still hurting and they don't realize they've signed away all their rights.
Exactly. Let me ask you this. When it comes to insurance, I notice, a lot of times when attorneys have to deal with an injury case, you're not suing the other driver. You're actually suing the insurance company.
Right. The claim itself and the money itself comes from the insurance company.
Right.
Even though the person uh, committed the act of negligence, caused the accident, they are the one at fault. But they have a contract with their insurance company for their insurance company to step up, defend them, and pay for whatever their claim is worth.
Now, let me ask you this, Mr. Order. What if the other person don't have insurance? What do you do then?
Well, this is something that I advocate vigorously. Everyone should have uninsured motorist coverage. And this is a coverage that sometimes an agent will not put on your policy, and he'll let you know that you're covered, uh, or even use the words fully covered, which in that agent's mind may only mean that you have the California state minimums.
Right. So when you say full coverage versus liability, you really might not have that full coverage if you don't have that other additional package the insurance called non-insured motorist.
Yeah,
And
that
that's only what, like $9-10 a month extra,
it
or
depends on how much you buy,
right?
but it's your best value on your insurance policy over anything else. If you get your uninsured motorist coverage and you look at your itemization of your different coverages, you'll be really surprised at how low of a cost the uninsured motorist is compared to everything.
If you don't have it versus if you did have it after you're trying to get help.
Well, we unfortunately live in a time where sometimes people have to choose between paying rent and paying their insurance. So we have a lot of uninsured motorists driving around, and if they hit you and you don't have uninsured motorist coverage, it's going to be very difficult to collect anything on your case.
Now, with full coverage, you're actually, correct me if I'm wrong, you're the attorney. I'm just a crazy guy here. Um, if you have full coverage, your vehicle's probably covered. But if you have any injuries, you're laid up in the hospital, your daughter's hurt, your husband's hurt, your wife's hurt, and they're the main source of income, you're not going to get nothing. Am I correct on that?
Well, I think the term full coverage is very deceptive, because full coverage can mean a lot of things. I mean, you can get a lot of different types of coverages. The state laws require you to get liability coverage and property damage coverage if you cause an accident,
Right.
and that's all they require. And the minimums are 15,000 per person, 30 per accident, which is not very much.
No.
And $5,000 for property damage. I mean, how many $5,000 cars are driving around out there?
Money's
A
gone
brand new
like
car is 30 plus.
Right.
So full coverage, I think you have to think in terms of, number one, having the liability coverage for yourself that's going to protect you in case you have a bad day driving. It's going to cover your car if you need to replace it, it gets stolen, it gets totaled in an accident. And then there's the uninsured motorist. You need to make sure you're going to have enough coverage to cover yourself and your medical bills and your wage loss and your pain and your suffering and all the things that go with it if that other person does not have insurance.
So that's a really key thing that people really need to have.
They really need to have that. And also, a lot of people don't know that uninsured motorist is inclusive of underinsured motorists. And I don't want to get too technical, but what it does is it covers you if the person does have insurance, but it's not very much.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that just driving around with the state bare minimum, which is $15,000. And we all know an ambulance ride and an overnight stay at the hospital is going to be 20, maybe 30,000.
Easy. I mean, nowadays ambulance, you got to go from across the street to the hospital. It's easy, $1,500, $2,000.
Yeah.
So, when you're in an accident and everything too, I noticed that the insurance, when you go after the insurance, it's normally the insurance, let's say the other person's insurance that you go after, they normally have a range of a cap on their insurance.
Every insurance policy has a cap.
Right.
I mean, that's what you buy. If you go down and get your own insurance and you get the state minimum policy, you're only going to be covered for $15,000. It's probably a good idea to have at least $25,000 or $50,000 for liability, and the same for uninsured motorists. But everybody's situation is different. Everybody has different budgets. But the minimum policies usually end in a sad story here, because we have people with cases with very bad injuries, and $15,000 is a drop in the bucket for what they deserve.
Right. It's not even worth the time doing paperwork a lot
Hardly.
of times,
Yeah.
Now, with the non-insured motorist, how does that work? Let's say I'm in an accident and this dude is going down Stetson Avenue, zooming down Stetson, and he crashes into us. And, let's say I'm in the hospital for like 2 months, broken bones. Let's just say we're looking at the worst case scenario. How does the uninsured motorist package come in effect? Does it go after your insurance? Do you file it against yourself? How does that work?
That's a good question. So the first thing you have to establish is whether the person has insurance or not. And
Right.
there's a process to do that, and you need to file some paperwork with the DMV and get a certificate that says he has no insurance. Once you have that, you make a claim against your own policy. And that may sound kind of scary. I don't want to do anything with my own policy, but that's what you pay for.
Right. And it don't go against your premium.
It doesn't
right?
go against your driving record or your insurance ability. and just you have to think of it in this way. You're buying that insurance so that if this event, a person doesn't have insurance, if that event occurs, you have coverage. And once you file your claim with your own insurance company and they pay, well, they have a right to go after that person who doesn't have insurance. And they
Gotcha.
do. And they have the resources to do so where your average person does not.
And if they don't pay, they probably end up losing their license, yada yada, all the way up.
They
Or
usually,
either if they don't have a license, and then they're gonna fix it where you can't never get a license,
yeah,
probably.
yeah.
And I know we do have a lot of people out here driving with no insurance, no license, and I mean, we do the news out here. We're on so many accident scenes out here, and every time I talk to somebody, I'm like, I don't have insurance, or I have full coverage, but do you have non-insured motorists? And that's
Yeah.
what I try to stress to a lot of people. Don't cost that much, but it's very effective if you have that.
Yes.
So, how many accident cases have you probably covered since your time here?
Be hard to count them.
You lost count now, huh?
Thousands and thousands and thousands, probably tens of thousands.
And what is your ratio on winning cases for clients?
Well, we like to say 100%. But, I
Right.
mean, that's kind of a
We're all going to lose
that's
some.
kind of
Huh?
a tricky question because we take cases in that look good on day one, and then sometimes we get the police report and
It's like,
the other guy
oh,
has no insurance. Our client has no uninsured motorist, so there's no way to recover. So, is that a loss? Well, I guess it is, but it's
right.
something that we have no control over. If there's the other person at fault and they have insurance or our client has uninsured motorist, I'd say it's 100%. We get a recovery.
Good. Now, what other services do you offer here? I know you do personal injury. That could classify for a lot of things. What if I'm got a dog bite? I'm walking down the
Dog
road, I
bites
get
are
bit.
included in that. As I said earlier, auto accidents are just,
One of the
there's many
services.
of those, but you'd be surprised at how many dog bites there are in this city, and
I cover
that,
a lot of those too.
that's another one. We've had some dog maulings, worse than just bites.
Well, you
And
remember Rusty Straight? He got
yes,
mauled by several pit bulls, and
yeah,
99 years old, and that guy's still going,
and I
So.
represented him for
Oh,
that.
you were the
I
attorney
was
on
his
that.
attorney.
Oh man, what a small world.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rusty, man, he's been going through some crazy stuff, but at least I know he had a good attorney. So.
Yeah, I've known him as long as I've been practicing,
Oh well, that's been a long time
and
then.
that was a long, long time ago. And yeah, he celebrated 100 years with us
Yep, you were
a
at the
few
party
weeks
with us.
ago, and that was a great event. He's a great citizen of our community.
Yes, he is,
It was a pleasure representing him in his cases.
and I'm sure you did him very well.
We
So.
got him what he deserved.
Well, that's good. Now, let's talk about dog bites. Um, how do you able to cover the incidents? Does it go against homeowner insurance? What situations are you able to look at to be able to recover on dog bites? Because
Uh, Insurance is the key uh, because individuals who are responsible for auto accidents or owning a dog that bites somebody generally don't have the money to pay out on any kind of a claim. So it's
right,
important that there's a homeowner's coverage from the owner who owns the dog. Without that, it's very difficult unless it's a big business or somebody's very wealthy and there's a way to collect. Going after individuals is a difficult thing. We've done it. We have a filing cabinet of judgments that we have against
right.
them that we haven't been able to collect because it's hard to collect from individuals. There's a lot of protections through bankruptcy and different things. So it's hard to get money out of people. It's the old saying, can't get blood
Can't
out of a
blood of a
turnip.
turnip. Exactly. I use that several
So
times.
insurance is important. So
Right.
most of the dog bite cases that we get recoveries are insurance claims.
So now, let's say for instance, we had a dog bite down at home, the old home Harbor Freight building. Guy was walking. He had two big dogs. I guess there was a homeless out there. The dog ended up attacking the guy. He got bit by the dogs. but the guy wasn't on his personal property where his insurance would probably cover. Now, does that, let's say I'm out walking down Florida Avenue and I get bit by somebody's dog walking, will that fall
You,
back into some type of
you would
insurance?
win that case.
Okay.
So most dog bite cases, the owner of that dog is responsible by law. There's only a few exceptions to that. If you're trespassing on somebody's property and their dog bites you, they have a defense.
Oh,
But
yeah.
as
We
long as
hope anyway.
as long as you're legally on their property or you're on public property and their dog bites you, that dog owner is responsible.
So even if he's not on his property but somewhere out on the sidewalks, it would
Public
go back
property, if your dog bites somebody on public property, you are strictly liable.
homeowners
And
insurance
the
on that.
homeowner's insurance for that dog owner would pay for the damages that you would have.
Okay, that's a good question. What? Yeah, good question. What if they rent? We've seen situations where somebody got bit by a dog, but the person that owned the dog was a renter in a home. How do you work with that?
Well, if they have a renter's policy that has liability coverage, you can recover, and we've done that in the past. But if it's a renter and he has dogs and they bite somebody, only that renter is responsible, unless there's some type of condition on the property that the landlord or the property owner is responsible for that contributed to the ability of that dog to bite you. So just because you own property doesn't mean you're responsible for someone else's dog to
Exactly.
bite.
So it won't go against the property owner, but the renter himself.
Yeah, there are some exceptions to that, and we take a look at them, and we've had some recoveries. Issues involving, failure to properly maintain a fence, for example, that was
Right.
the landlord's responsibility. Well, we can get the landlord on the hook for that.
Gotcha. So there's
Every
multiple ways.
every case is different,
Right.
and we take a look at all the facts and try to find whatever way the facts and the law will get you a recovery.
Okay. Um, Going back to the auto accidents, I know there's like a time period, grace period. What is the grace periods on accidents? I mean,
Okay, this is something that is important because if you let too much time go by, your case will be barred by the statute of limitations. In the state of California, the general rule is 2-year statute of limitations. There are some exceptions, though. So it's good to not just wait 2 years because there are situations where automobile accident may have been caused by a city worker or involved something wrong with the roads, and it would involve either the county or the city or the state. And those cases do not have the 2-year statute of limitations. They have a 6-month cutoff period. So if you're not diligent and get on that right away, your rights are gone after 6 months.
So it's good to know that in case any type of accident, no matter what kind, it's best to call you right away.
The sooner the better. And there's a lot of reasons. The time limits is a highly important reason, but there's other reasons too. Delaying your case can benefit the insurance company. In fact, I've seen people come in at maybe the 1.5 year mark after their accident, and I could just see what the insurance company did. And they just put them off and put them off and delayed and delayed and delayed. And during that delay, there were things that were not done that affected the case. So it's good to have our office look at the case, get on it as soon as possible. Medical care is very important. If you need it, you need to be prompt and get to the doctors and get the care that you need. Insurance companies like to see somebody delay and maybe put it off, and then they use that against you.
Gotcha. So, you wasn't hurt too bad. You didn't go see medical treatment.
Exactly. Evidence is another important issue. As time goes, memories fade. If it's a case where you need witness statements or photographs of an intersection that may change in who knows, 6 months. Things change. So it's good to get on it right away. Secure that evidence through photographs and getting those medical records and getting those witness statements if it's necessary.
Now, let me ask you another question, Mr. Order. Let's say somebody was injured in an accident and they need to go see the doctor, but they don't have the medical insurance means. Do you have doctors that you work with that will send them in for an exam and then it's taken care of in the case?
We have an entire network of doctors, anywhere from chiropractors to medical doctors, orthopedic surgeons. That's all available to people who are injured. And I discuss this with my clients. Every case is different. Some of my clients have good health insurance. They're happy with their doctor and they're able to get the care through their healthcare network. Others don't. Even some people who have good insurance, they can't get an appointment with their family doctor for 6 weeks.
Right.
And during that 6 weeks, it's critical that they get care and that their injuries are documented by a doctor.
So you have those teams and networks
We
that you
have
can send them to.
plenty of doctors locally or in the outlying cities here in the Hemet Valley.
Okay. Also talking about doctors, I know a lot of people has asked if I know any know any attorneys that work with medical malpractice cases. Do you do any of those?
We've done a few in the past. It's not something we do much of anymore. We have other attorneys that we're affiliated with.
So you can network
if we feel that the need is there, we refer them over.
Okay.
So we have a big referral network. So it's always good to consult with us first if it's not in a particular area that we handle. We have good, competent, high-quality attorneys that we're affiliated with to get you the representation you need.
So it's always good just to call your phone number at 951-652-7600 and
That's
just
it.
ask your questions away, right?
That's right. We're here to help the community.
Now, here's a good question for you. What about slip and falls, workman's comp? Do you cover any of those? A lot of people get hurt on the job, the workman's comps, they don't want to help them out or they drag them along.
That's a good question. Okay. Some workman's comp cases are not only workman's comp cases, but the person has a right to go after somebody who committed negligence. The classic example is someone who's on the job and he's driving the company truck and somebody hits him.
Right.
Well, he can make a work comp claim through his employer, or he can hire our office and go after the person who's at fault. If we feel that both claims need to be made, a work comp and an injury claim against the at-fault party, we organize and have work comp attorneys that we work with to maximize the benefits from both claims to the client.
Gotcha.
So sometimes a client will have two types of claims out of one injury. And driving a company vehicle and being in an auto accident is a classic example of that.
Right.
Now, you mentioned slip and fall cases. We handle those also. Sometimes the slip and fall cases can be a little tricky. Getting the proper evidence for slip and fall cases is important. So if you're involved in a slip and fall case, it's very important to take photos.
Right away.
Yeah, right away. Whatever you slipped on or tripped on, take photographs of it. And don't rely on the manager of the store who comes out and says he's taken a full report and then sends you home, and pretty soon you don't have any evidence.
Yeah, because it's all cleaned up, mopped up,
it's
or
cleaned
whatever
up,
it is.
and that report probably doesn't say much. And getting witnesses who saw either the person fall or witnessed the condition that caused the fall is important. Just getting a name and phone number goes a long ways.
Right. What about wrongful deaths?
We handle that.
Okay.
That's an unfortunate thing that happens in auto accidents and other ways where either there's a dangerous condition or it's a fatal auto accident, it works just like a personal injury claim. But we represent the families on those and get them through a very difficult time. We've handled quite a few of those.
Okay. What other services do you offer here at your law firm?
We do offer estate planning here in my office. If you need to get your affairs in order, we can do that with a will and a trust and a healthcare directive and power of attorney. We put packages together. So things happen in our lives. Other people can step in and have the proper legal documentation to take over and handle your affairs.
So what do you not do here? I mean, this guy
Well,
does it all.
there's quite a long list of what we don't do.
Right.
There's a lot of different areas of law, and we concentrate on personal injury cases, and we do the estate planning also.
All right, let's see here. I'm trying to check. All right. For some reason, I am not finding my video here. So I'm going to have Lori ask the questions that our viewers are asking. So go ahead with question number 1. Oh, there we go right here. We got 28.
I'm waiting for Joshua. Yes.
Says I got 28 comments, but it's only showing me just a few. Do you handle cases where the spouse never paid child support? What's too late to claim?
Okay, now you're talking about an area of law which I do not handle, and that's family law, which is divorce, child support, child custody cases. So if you need a referral to a good family law attorney, we can help you with that.
Okay. So you network with a lot of people. Is it showing you all the comments, Lori?
No, I'm not seeing all the comments right
Uh,
now. I think I'm missing half my things.
yeah, it says I got 28 comments, but I don't see but 4.
I see Alice's. I'm waiting for Josh to answer me.
Do you handle SSI cases or recommend somebody for those?
Social Security disability cases are a specialty that we do not handle.
Okay. This is mainly personal injury.
In the Inland Empire, there's only a couple that I know of that specialize in that. And we have one here in Hemet that specializes in that. His name is Eric Hunt.
Another one, we did answer that question. Do you handle get it out in a minute,
medical malpractice?
Medical malpractice that happened over a year ago. I know this particular
That's a pretty tricky question because medical malpractice has a different statute of limitations than your typical auto accident case.
Right.
And having a medical malpractice attorney who specializes in that is critical, and getting someone early is critical for a lot of reasons. Now, we don't handle the medical malpractice anymore, but if it's been over a year, I would get on the phone with a medical malpractice attorney as soon as possible. And I just kind of hope that there's still time left in the statute of limitations to bring a case. And if you need a referral, we can provide that.
Because this particular case,
implications on the case. So getting the full facts and details of when the medical care was performed and when it was discovered that something was wrong are important things that we use to evaluate your rights.
and I got Carol Smith on here. Carol, when did your husband get killed in that accident? How long ago has that been?
He's the attorney.
Oh, okay. You were the attorney for them.
There's a
Okay.
few people on here that say you guys are great.
Yeah, because now I'm getting on my comments here. Let's see if I can scroll up to the top. Joshua says because we all know 70% of the Hemet drivers are uninsured or not licensed. That's very true. Again, this falls back on why we stress out so important for non-insured motorist package on your full coverage.
Yeah, if you
insurance.
buy your insurance through an agent or you get it online, however you purchase your auto insurance, be sure and check your declaration pages, and it'll have a list of what your coverages are, bodily injury liability, medical payment coverage is another coverage that a lot of people get that'll cover bills that your insurance doesn't cover. You'd be surprised at how large the copays add up if you're in an auto accident. And uninsured motorist is, in my opinion, absolutely necessary.
And okay, and Carol Smith says, you're a great company. You answered a lot of questions for her when her husband passed away due to being hit and killed by a 16-year-old unlicensed driver that was uninsured. Carol, was that the one on down by Gilman Springs, Stetson? I believe it was some race cars racing. Car won't be registered if uninsured. I don't know about that. I saw a Rottweiler trying to bite two teens when they were walking down Florida before that skimming home. Again, if they were bit, then that goes
Right.
towards your
If the dog
insurance.
bites, the owner's responsible. Now, whether the owner has insurance or has the ability to pay on a claim, those are things we have to examine. So it's good to get a consultation on that as soon as possible.
Okay. They said they had the renter's insurance, I guess, when it went to a dog bite. Nothing happened to the guy that killed my husband. Police said it was just an accident. Unfortunately, there were no help. Okay. Alice, this is William R. Van Order, DC, here on Carmelita Street, right?
Yes.
My memory's not as gone as bad as I thought it was. Okay, we asked that question in San Diego. DMV won't let you register your car without insurance. Yeah, but a lot of people, a lot of people when they do get a car, they'll go get insurance just long enough to get it registered, and then the next month they drop the insurance. How many times have you seen
That happens a lot, and they'll show the officer at the scene a proof of insurance that they obtained, when they made their first payment, and then they stop paying. So just because somebody shows proof of insurance at a scene does not mean they have insurance.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot of times
It
too.
happens a lot, and that's why it's important to go ahead and run it through the DMV, and the DMV will set up a hearing, make them prove they have insurance. And if they don't, that's when their license can get suspended, and the DMV will issue that uninsured motorist certificate at that point.
Gotcha. So that's what I say. I mean, William, I can't stress enough how important it is to have that non-insured motorist package on their insurance.
Oh, it's a absolute must.
So guys, if you don't have it, make sure you call your insurance company and make sure you get that in uninsured. Bro, those uninsured drivers have paved ways for me. Okay. I don't know if that's good or bad, but Josh, all right. If anybody else has any questions as well, too, I'm sure your paralegal will be jumping on answering comments and questions as well.
Yeah, and
Is there
we're here to answer questions.
And we'll be doing more with you as well. I like to do something like maybe once a week with you guys, or once every 2 weeks. I know you're busy.
That's fine.
You're always going out of town.
Well, there's two attorneys here in our office. So
oh, that's right. We got Eric here, right?
Well, no, Eric is our administrative assistant. We have Connor O'Brien.
Connor, where's Connor? Is he here today?
He's not here today.
Okay. And who is this Sandy lady?
She's our top-notch Paralegal.
Come on over here, Sandy. Introduce
Paralegal
yourself.
extraordinaire.
You want to introduce her to everybody? I like your dress. That looks good on you.
Thank you.
Best paralegal ever.
Best paralegal ever you can get. So, what is your guys' hours of operations here, guys?
Oh, our doors are open 8 to 5,
Okay.
Monday through Friday.
Gotcha.
We're pretty accessible. If it's something that's outside the hours, we have a answering service and ability to get a hold of us. But for the most part, on these auto accident cases and civil cases, we're pretty much accessible.
Okay. And what other do you handle filing emotional distress on FISBO realtor sales?
That does not sound like something we handle, and I'm trying to understand what that question is. But it
Linda,
sounds like
can you elaborate a little bit more on your situation?
sounds like somebody who maybe had a real estate deal go bad and it caused a lot of stress.
That's what it sounds like.
That's not something that we handle.
Okay. Good question, though. You never know
question.
until you ask. And if anybody else has any questions, always be prepared to know before you go, guys. Definitely want to encourage everybody. You see the phone number up on the top left or the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. It is 951-652-7600. Make sure you lock that number in and put on there the contacts, Law Office of William R. Van Order. If you ever in a situation you need his help, you don't have to worry about Googling the number. You got him on speed dial. And it's always good to have a good attorney on speed dial.
That's true. If I could add one more thing before we go.
Whatever you want.
For those of you who get involved in an auto accident, I just want to stress that it's very important to gather evidence at the scene. And it may sound kind of odd, but you'd be surprised how many people come into my office and they've been in an accident and they don't have anything. So it's important, especially in today's world where we have our cell phones with cameras on them, just to photograph everything.
But what if you get in a situation where you're not able to take pictures and you're transported by ambulance?
Well, those are cases where the police are at the scene, hopefully.
Either that or you hope the crazy guy with lazy eyes
and this guy's there taking pictures. And yeah, if the police arrive at the scene, they do most of that.
Yeah, and
But there's a lot of accidents where the police arrive at the scene and they just tell people, "Oh, we'll just exchange information," and then they're on down the road and they don't do a report.
Right.
And that's happening more and more in our city.
Is it a lot of times when there's no injuries? Because normally when there's an injury traffic collision, they have to actually be there to do the reports.
They say that, but people are injured and they don't know it till either the day after.
Explain that.
Or they don't know it, or they don't feel that they need an ambulance. I think that's what the police go by now. I don't know what their policies and procedures are.
I've seen a lot of it.
It seems to me that if they arrive at a scene and nobody needs an ambulance to the hospital, they're not doing a report.
Right. So
that doesn't mean you're not injured.
You go like
soft
I tell a lot of
tissue
people,
injuries to your neck and your back. Sometimes you don't feel them for a day or two.
That's what I told one guy. He was in a bad accident. I told him, "Oh, you're gonna be feeling that tomorrow," you know.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the next day they ended up had to go to the hospital.
Yeah,
they woke up, they're hurting so bad, and they're like, "Man, I should have went yesterday," you know.
Yeah.
So you never know on that. Okay, I got another question. Let's see what we got over here for you, Mr. William. Okay. Okay. If I cause damage to my own interior, can I do a compensation claim? Insurance is trying to tell me they do not cover it, but isn't that the reason why I pay insurance for my mess up? When you say interior, are you your car interior?
He knows you don't do that, but it's part of.
Right. I kind of get the feeling that he's asking if you can make a claim against something that you do yourself.
Right.
And you can't do that. That's an exclusion in insurance policies. I mean, if that was the case, people would be getting a big policy, injuring themselves, and making a claim against themselves.
Right.
And that's just not something that can be done. When you get insurance, you're insuring yourself for claims by somebody else against you.
Right.
Or that uninsured motorist coverage is if somebody else injures you and they don't have insurance, you can make that claim against your own policy. But you can't cause the accident and then recover from your own insurance.
Well, now that's another question I was going to ask you, Mr. Wood. I know another attorney person that he was out in another state, and him and his friend was out driving, and he ended up, I guess, he had like a stroke or something. Ended up had a single vehicle accident, rolled the vehicle over, both of them was injured. Can you go after your insurance on that?
Well, some portions of your insurance for your car, for example, like in this case, let's say he totaled his car.
Right.
If he had comprehensive and collision coverage on his car, he can get his car replaced.
But not personal injury.
Yeah, that's what we call a no fault coverage, medical payment coverage, and you can have a $5,000 policy, or as I've seen as high as $50,000 medical payment coverages. That's another no fault.
Right.
Just the fact that you're injured, they'll pay your medical bills if it's auto accident related under that medical payment coverage.
Okay. Eddie George will provide the proof. Alice, I don't understand what you're talking about on that one. If you can elaborate on that, please. You have $10,000 on medical. I have $10,000 on medical for that. Adrenaline also masks injuries. Definitely it does. Your adrenaline's going. You don't feel nothing until the next day. So, anything else?
Well, yeah, back to that interior thing. So what happened was he works and he put something on his back seat and it destroyed the back seat. And Google says he needs to submit an insurance claim for that. He can do that. But his insurance says no. That's why he's asking.
Well, these types of claims are they could be different from one company to another. And it all has to go to what the language says in the policy and the type of coverages that he's purchased. Generally, if your car is damaged through vandalism or a collision, that'll be covered under a comprehensive and collision coverage on your car. Now, if you damage the car yourself, most policies will probably have an exclusion from any of that. So, but again, that is something that you have to look at each individual policy to determine. And if his insurance company has denied it, my educated guess is there was either an exclusion in the policy or the coverage that he had simply didn't cover the situation that happened.
Yeah, like in my case, I know sometimes it's cheaper for you to fix it yourself. Like a rock hit my windshield.
Yes.
It's cheaper for me to go pay for a windshield out of my pocket instead
And
of
pay your
paying.
deductible.
Yeah.
Right. And deductibles are another thing. I've seen people with a $250 deductible, $1,000 deductible. And yeah, if it's a windshield and it costs $175 to replace the windshield and your deductible's $500, well, you're paying for it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Can you explain that right there too? I don't know if that's your part to do. What the deductibles are 250, 500, 1,000. Which one's best to have?
Yeah, that's a hard question because the word best could mean if you get $1,000 deductible, you're probably paying less money for that insurance policy. So over a 10-year period of time, you may save thousands of dollars by having that high deductible. But then if the event occurs and you got to pay that $1,000, the money you saved, it doesn't seem like it was worth it.
Because I used to have 250, I moved mine up to 500. Somebody told me it was better.
500 seems to be common that I see. I think people, I'm not going to say people can afford 500. It's still a lot of money, but it's better than 1,000.
Exactly.
You know.
All right. Is there anything else that you would like to add, or any other services that you offer our community?
I think we've covered just about everything that we do here, and I just want to remind people that if you are in an accident, it's a risky business to try to deal with the insurance companies on your own.
Don't do it.
They have trained adjusters that want to sell you, the bottom settlement they can possibly get, and delay only works in their favor. So,
well, let me ask you this final question, then, Mr. Order. Good example. You're talking about the insurance. They're going to try to give you the less they can, save their as much money as they can from giving out. They'll settle out of court. I will give you this amount. Versus if they would have used you as an attorney. Let's say, have you seen a difference in, like, an insurance company would have gave somebody, let's say, $3,000? We'll just settle out. Versus you came in representing them, and you got them a larger amount.
There are more cases than I can cite where people have come in and said, hey, they offered me $3,500. My medical bills are $2,000. I'm still hurting. Is that a fair deal? And we're like, no, I wouldn't sign on the dotted line and give away all your rights yet. And it turns out that they had something wrong with them that they didn't even know about.
Right.
And their medical bills ended up being $10,000 all said and done once they get done with their treatment. And we get a much bigger settlement than what was offered. So
what was some of the big differences you've seen in some of the cases that
I'm sorry?
What's some of the differences that you've seen in cases that you've handled versus what they would have gotten if you didn't?
Oh, we've had cases where they've come in and they've been offered $1,500, and we end up getting them $50,000.
Oh, I like that right there.
That happens.
What's some of the biggest suits that you've covered for auto injury?
Well, we've had a couple of $1 million cases here in our office. I had a jury trial in 2012, but we had a $1.3 million jury verdict at Riverside County.
Wow.
And we had another big injury case out here on Gilman Springs Road that settled for $1.4 million. So wow. We get some big ones, and
it all falls back on how much cap that the other person's insurance has got.
You're not going to collect $1.3 million unless it's a big insurance policy, or in that case, it was a trucking company. And we handle trucking accidents, motorcycle accidents, auto accidents, wrongful death, slip and fall.
Okay.
Dog bites.
Especially, guys, if you own a motorcycle, I can't stress enough to make sure they have your number on lockdown.
Yes.
Because, I've covered so many motorcycle accidents out here. It's just phenomenal.
And I don't want to forget bicycle accidents, too.
Pedestrian vehicle versus pedestrians, we get those.
And pedestrians, and I just want to throw this in there. Uninsured motorist is a must, because even if you're a pedestrian or on a bicycle and you get hit by an uninsured motorist, most policies will cover you for that.
Wow, that's good to know right there. So, plus add gap insurance in case someone's insurance doesn't cover your whole car if totaled.
Gap insurance is another one of those gambles. When you buy your car, they usually offer it. And like most new cars, as soon as you drive it off the lot, it's worth much less than you paid for it.
Right.
And if you have a financing where you owe $30 and you drive it off the lot and it's worth $25, you're in an upside down situation. And if something happens, it's good to have that gap insurance. We've had quite a few clients benefit from having that gap insurance because it is a common thing. Auto financing is set up so it's a win-win for the finance company, but not the consumer.
Right.
And so I've seen some situations where, people are upside down on their auto loan, $10,000, and they can't understand why all of a sudden they owe $10,000, even though the insurance company paid what the car was worth. And it can happen. So something that you should think about. I wouldn't advise it on every single transaction, but you just have to take a look at it and measure the risks involved in financing a car and having the value of the car fall below what you financed it for.
That's good advice right there. This guy's full of good advices, guys. So, all right. Is there anything else I need to cover? I think you said it all right there,
Well,
Mr.
I
PC.
thank you for coming in and having this chat. I enjoyed it, and I hope anybody listening or watching, if you have any questions and you have any legal needs for the areas of law that I've described, we'd be happy to represent you and talk to you. Or your first consultation does not cost anything.
Oh, that sounds good. Well, do you do divorces? 'Cause I need to get written. No, I'm just joking. No divorces.
I did
guys.
one divorce when I was a very young lawyer, and that was my final one.
Hey, you said that's just too much drama, right?
It's very
there, right?
emotional and very dramatic, and just wasn't my cup of tea.
Right. So, how long have you been in the law firm doing personal injuries?
Well, I've started practicing in 1986. Long time
Does
ago.
feel like a long time, don't it?
And I opened my practice here in Hemet in 1987, and I've been handling auto accident and injury cases here in Hemet for, I guess that's 34 years.
So, it sounds like you got enough experience to help anybody. So, sound like he's got those notches in his sticks, guys. So, I definitely want to say, hey, you know, I enjoyed the time with you, Mr. Order, and we would love to come back with you, do something weekly with you or bi-weekly. I know you got a busy schedule, and we'll definitely be working hand
we
in
will
hand.
make room for, and we welcome any further, questions and explanations on what we do. There's a lot going on out in our community, and we're glad that we can help.
Awesome. Before I do end this live stream, though, I would like to introduce your whole team that's here with you. I know we have, again, your paralegal, and then we have Mr. Eric over here. Come on over here, Eric. He's like me. I don't want to be on camera, but you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Eric. I'm the administrative assistant here.
And what do you do here as far as administrative assistants?
I answer the phones, so I'm usually the first point of contact for clients, insurance companies, medical records. Speaking of which, I do medical record collection as well.
Okay.
The cases.
So when you call and need help, you're going to be basically talking to him. So you tell this guy, the crazy guy with the lazy eye sent you, right?
Right.
And then
I'm Sandy, the paralegal, and so I basically do all of the litigation paralegal stuff, and then I also do case management.
Okay.
And I also do the networking and social media for the office.
And he's the fighter in court for
And
you.
he's a founding partner, and we do have another partner in the office, Connor O'Brien, who's not here today.
Yes.
Where is Mr. O'Brien?
He is out taking care of his doggy Bailey, our mascot.
Oh, Bailey. What's wrong with Bailey?
We have a law dog here.
Yes, we do.
He's
have
beautiful
one.
too.
She's my paralegal.
Oh, be a Papaligo. I like that.
Yeah.
Does he get puppuccinos?
She does.
So awesome. Well, it's a pleasure being here with you guys today. And I do, encourage everybody, if you do have questions, feel free to give them a call. Again, their number is 951-652-7600. And you can also leave comments here on this live stream. And I'm sure both of you guys will be watching the feeds. Because this guy, I know he's too busy to be on internet, so that's what he's got y'all for. So,
Exactly.
All right.
Right, and if any of you need any estate planning, tell us that the guy with the lazy eye.
You call me anything, just throw that lazy eye in there.
The guy with the lazy eye.
And I had my, you know what,
and you
talking.
get a 10% discount.
Wow, let me see, where is my notes here? Oh, that's not
That's
the
a
note.
note.
That is a note, but it's not the note I'm looking for. What did I do with my paper? Oh, there it is. It's wrapped around a $50 bill here. All right. These are some of the services that they do offer here. Of course, personal injury, auto accidents, dog bites. You do estate planning. You do trust and power of attorney. You do guardianships as well.
The with the estate planning. for
With
minors.
estate planning with
Yeah.
minors, okay, so minors involved in that. You also do wills, living wills and stuff.
Yes.
Healthcare power of attorneys.
Yes.
And workman's comp, insurance claims, medical malpractice. You do have up to 3 years on that on some situations, which you do have reefer network on that.
Yes.
So all that's good to know. Did I miss anything, guys?
I think you pretty much covered it.
Shoot, about time I did my job right. So, all right, and Lori just put the information, the phone number in the comments as well. Lynette says you are very informative. Thank you.
Well, thank
All
you, and everybody who watched and tuned in. Thank you.
And I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to do something for you guys. Make sure you tag your friends. Make sure you share this video. Comment that you shared. When you do share this video, make sure that you do change your public settings to public instead of friends only. That way it shows us that you shared. And I'm going to give away some free food. How's that sound? Everybody likes free
Everybody
food,
likes
right?
food.
Yeah,
Gotta
so
eat.
I'm going to give away a 6-piece chicken over at Epic Wings. Lynette just shared. Thank you, Lynette. See, she's already got her name in the hat. I also got some hot combos that we'll give away from my sponsor over at Boys Burgers as well.
All right.
So y'all tag and share, and when we come back to do our next interview, we'll pick some names and give away some free food. How's that sound?
That sounds good.
All right, let's do it. All right, guys, until then, thank you for watching, and I am that crazy guy with that lazyeye.com. Call me anything, folks, but just don't call me late for dinner. Y'all have a good one. Nice meeting you
Nice
guys.
meeting you.
Appreciate everything.
Fun. Thank you.
All right, Eric, again, good seeing you guys.
Awesome.
And if you guys, like I say, you got any questions, number is on the screen. Make sure you call them and
Sure.
tell them that the crazy guy with lazy eye sent you.